5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! Oh my goodness, what happened to the stereo?
Year 2000 arrived, activating Y2K protocol.
I knew this would happen. Who else remembers New Year's 20,000? Not me. I was a pathetic baby. Chances are most of us weren't around to witness the hysteria of wondering if your computer was going to stop working when the clock ticked 12, or if a satellite was gonna fall out of the sky. Yet that somehow seems worse. My memories of Y2K are very, very different. I grew up in such a decade, and now I've reached the age where the time period I grew up in is a Halloween costume. I'm okay with this though. The Y2K aesthetic is an entire vibe, and personally, very nostalgic, so I want to make some Fakemon that call back to some of the things that remind me of the time I watched a TV show that looked like this. The first Pokemon I want to make is going to be based on a lava lamp, which, I know, not really a Y2K thing, inherently. Not only were they invented way before my time, but also they're still used to this day. They actually seem kinda timeless now that I think about it. Oops. But sure, maybe they've had spouts of popularity, but I never really saw them around in the 2010s, and honestly, I only really see them around these days because I have one. I like it very much. Perhaps what this whole video is really about is me just finding an excuse to turn a lava lamp into a Fakemon. I've been wanting to do this for a very long time now. I've been studying some Gen 5 Pokemon design lately because I feel like they've got the perfect set of designs that have complicated features but drawn in a nice simple way. Perfect for me because my brain is about the size of a pea. So anyways, using mostly Chandelure as inspiration, I got the arms drawn and then moved on to the body or face or, you know, some kind of blob form. This is a very exciting part of the design. I have the ability to really make some wacky, fun, and flowy designs here. I went with the circle and then two smaller circles. The facial expression was going to be this almost evil looking one, like an evil yeah, and it actually looks quite good, but I drew the face pretty big, and that's something I kinda need to stop doing so much. You see, I am a 2D artist. I have no 3D knowledge at all. The last time I used Blender was to make a protein shake and it tasted really bad. When drawing Fakemon art and making designs, I do the whole process entirely through the lens of a 2D artist, because that's what I am. But I forget to think in 3 dimensions, which I think leads to these sort of flat and oddly proportioned designs. It's been an issue in my art for a decade now. Sure, I have made improvements here and there, and keeping other considerations in my design process, such as making an interesting silhouette, not applicable to the next Fakemon we draw this week by the way, has really helped me improve. But I forgot that these are creatures and they live in 3 dimensions. So now I'm focusing on really adding depth to my designs and also making sure things such as the face are proportioned correctly. So yeah, that was a really long way of saying big face too big, I want to draw small face. The colors are pretty much picked directly from my reference image. Look, I know it's lazy, but I kinda already vibed with it from the start, so what can you do? Maybe this Pokemon can have different forms depending on the color of its lava. I know it's not technically lava, so if someone knows what's actually in a lava lamp, I'd love to know. Please comment below. Why did all of that rhyme? We are now drawing a CD. Oh boy. So spoiler alert, I don't truly know if I vibe with the final design. It is kind of basic, but the process it took to get to what eventually becomes of this was a wild, wild ride. Like, oh my goodness. So it all started with a disc. Yes, the pinnacle of Y2K. Maybe, probably not. Back in my day, there was no Spotify. We had to use these magic frisbees to play songs. Ah, the good old days. The first idea was the one I had in my head, the Vision. I wanted to make this kind of Sinisty-like creature where a floating CD had these goofy eyes and string arms, but I kind of couldn't get it to look all right, so, you know, I kind of gave up. Idea number 2 was a real treat, you know, if you could call it that. Now keep in mind, I don't know the types of any of these Fakemon while designing them. I'm kind of just going in based on vibes alone, which, if you've seen my tutorial, makes the job a lot harder. So I have no real direction for this guy, hence the haunted lobotomized CD case. Once I drew in the body, I gave it the same face as before, but again, faltered with the arms. I just am not in the arm noodle mood right now, apparently. Like, is it mid-flossing? I don't know. Stonks. Oh god, that was just about as hard to write down as it was to say edit and publish in this video. This isn't even going to be in the blooper reel, I'm just putting it in the video. Well, sorry CD, you're out of luck. Attempt number 3 called, and it's gonna maybe suck. The intention behind this design was to go back to the first idea, but make the design look a little more like a Pokemon. I was trying to think about what this Pokemon would look like floating around in the overworld. How would it look in battle? How would I expect a design like this to appear in my game? It sort of helped, like I gave it a tail, alright? You know, I don't really dislike this design. I think perhaps just coming from the lava lamp, which was very cool, it just felt a bit deflating to go through so much design to then end up with the circle. I know a lot of Pokemon can kind of just be boring, so maybe in fairness of balance, this is a perfectly acceptable design. The colors are kind of strange. I don't know, it is what it is. It doesn't look terrible though, so I'm happy to move on. It is time for the third Fakemon, Cameramon. Oh yeah, I kind of fuck with this guy, I'm not gonna lie. Did anyone else have a camera like this growing up? Like I definitely did, and I was obsessed with photography, so much that I got a degree in it. I actually recently bought an old 2000s camera because I've been, you know, a bit digitally exhausted with the era of smart devices as of late. There's something I just really love about the idea of taking some snaps and then going to a shop to get your photos printed and putting them all in an album to look back on later. I'm obsessed. Also, I have over 25,000 items in my camera roll on my phone, so I'm just completely overwhelmed with that. I really went out of my comfort zone for this. We got some 1-point perspective here. I probably should have used perspective lines for this, but I'm kind of in God mode right now, so I'll see how far I take this sudden burst of skill I've mustered up. The lens is going to be the singular eye of this Pokemon because obviously, I cannot remember the last time I drew a Cyclops Pokemon on this channel. It may have been the Balm Mushroom, but I do not know for sure. I was about to say it was UB Vision, but that one actually has a whole lot of eyes, like 26 or 7 of them. So, you know, not exactly a Cyclops. To be honest, the camera is looking spick and span. Did I use that right? Handy manny, did I say that correctly? The final little touch on the design was a very obvious one, and a thing I actually saw on someone's phone, like literally yesterday. So, you know, maybe not so Y2K. Anyways, it's a beaded garland. Oh my goodness. Now this makes the look. Canonically, this is going to be the Cameramon's tail. On the tip, I gave it a plastic flower with rounded petals to kind of call back to the Fruitiger Aero and maybe even Fruitiger Metro era of design. You know, it's kind of giving Windows Vista Minesweeper, but instead of bombs, it's flowers, you know, that reskin. If you have absolutely no idea what I just said, then I'm truly sorry for your loss. May you one day get to play Chess Titan so that you can hear this sound effect. The colors were pretty straightforward on this design. I went with the classic camera gray, but with a slightly pink tinge, and then decorated the accent details with pinks, blues, and greens. You know, those sickening shades of plastic that every toy came in. Alrighty, I think it is now time to take a little look down memory lane and check out some Fakemon from the year 2000. Firstly, we have Lavampa, the fluid Pokemon, and a fairy fire type. It has a new ability called Protective Glass, which inflicts a burn on any Pokemon that attempts to give it a status condition. It can lay dormant for years without having to eat. If it is disturbed, it will use its tendrils to melt the skin of anyone nearby. Lavampa's body glows red hot. Some studies theorize it could change color with its temperature, but no such study has proven this. I don't know why, it seems like a pretty easy test. Next, it is Sir D, the CD Pokemon, and a fairy water type. Its ability is Ocean Disc. This ability will raise Sir D's speed and attack stat every time it uses a water type move. When it is bored, Sir D will lay flat and skip across lakes and ponds. It spins incredibly fast when doing so. Its spin is so fast that it can slice Pokemon in half. When this happens, a strange melody can be heard. A parish album, if you will. And finally, it is Pixie-Pix, the Metro Pokemon, and a fairy grass type. With its unique ability Photographic Memory, Pixie-Pix can relearn every single move that it sees in battle. You will need to visit a move reminder to learn such moves, as Pixie-Pix has its own level up moveset. Pixie-Pix are very observant creatures. They learn the moves of their prey so they can find specific weak points to exploit. When it finds prey, Pixie-Pix blinds it with a flash and then uses its beaded tail to carry the prey to its nest. next. Remind me to never look at a camera again. Rightio, those are my Y2K Pokemon. I tried my absolute best to try and make them an elemental trio because I just thought it would be a lot of fun, and that's the only reason we need here. It's all about having a little bit of whimsy. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos every single Fakemon Friday or Saturday if you live on Mirage Island, just like me. And thank you as always to our lovely channel members. I really appreciate your support. Okay, I'll see you all next week on the day of Saint Valentine's. Oh no.